Broads Media.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome on into the show today. I've been thinking about the Eagles every millisecond of today. I'm not even kidding. It was picturing Saquon Barkley with a mean cut as he plants his right foot. I don't know if it was maybe an hour and a half of Lane Johnson and his ability to maul other human beings. I don't know if it was Zach Bond or Cooper DeJean, but there were many different hours that it was somebody new for a long, extended period of time. That's it. I could not consume any other product. Couldn't handle it. The more and more you sit here and think about what Saquon did, Saquon just ran and caught and did a little dirty dance and made a little love and got down tonight for 300 yards. 300. You have me so stunned and I am in so much disbelief that I can't even explain anything other than just saying the fucking number. 300 plus yards in a game. This could be the best individual Philadelphia Eagle season ever. That's what we could be experiencing right now. So make sure you enjoy this. And I believe his personality goes a long way too, because his leadership is rare. And I remember T.O., and I knew what he meant to this team on the field, but it wasn't pretty. What Saquon's doing is gorgeous. And same with the O-line. When I was preparing for this show, I'm sitting here going through some of the main points I want to hit on. And it had me thinking about this offensive line. And I know that we have beaten this topic in so long, my whole entire existence, because the offensive line being elite is all I ever know. But I want you to really think about it with me here for a moment. Jordan Mailata didn't play the sport. Lane Johnson is a lock Hall of Famer. You just watch Jason Kelce go out the door. You cannot replace a Hall of Famer with just anybody. That's not something you do. You do not replace Hall of Famer with just anyone. Cam Jurgens is a fucking machine. How do they turn it over with this type of speed and this type of intensity every time a lineman leaves? Landon Dickerson had all these problems with major injuries during his school time, right? This guy, just like Lane, whenever there's a nagging injury, just plays through it and does it so absurdly. This whole line is actually unstoppable. They crush you all game long. Nobody has the ability to make it long enough. I'm just laughing because I'm processing all of these highlights. I'm processing all of these games and all of these drives where Saquon is running through these holes and these cuts are so shifty. I want to tear up in happy tears right now. I swear to God, I feel that silly right now, goofy. I feel something. And it's my appreciation for this group. And I'm also finding it funny and with a little bit of humor that I hated this team early on. I hated them because maybe I expected them to hit this stride too early. And there's no reason to go back to it. I'm just saying I love them. Love them. I'm all in. The way this defense plays, yo, Miami, you're a bunch of losers down there. Because as soon as Vic Fangio signed in Philadelphia, what were we hearing? He's too old. He doesn't connect. You can't relate to him. You can't play for him. Clowns down there. You know what this locker room did with Quignon's mentality? with Cooper DeJean bringing in life, with CJGJ, they were sniffing out all sorts of motions, pre-snap movements, going one way pre-snap, going back to the original side, CJGJ in perfect coverage. You don't win against Vic Fangio. He's got the answers. He's got the answers to the test. And when they show him in the booth and he's upstairs and he's watching from a distance with his glasses on, I'm like, that brain right now is just a big pile of fucking numbers and letters and equations. And he's got it all. He's like, oh, dude, bang. So prepared, so ready. And then the team just goes out and executes and they look like that. After those first 2 drives, the Rams were a disgrace. The Rams were trash. The Rams only were able to generate some points because of the refs throwing the laundry when there was no reason to at all. They suck. They suck so much. But let me tell you what doesn't suck, because we have a new sponsor here on Sports Talk with Broads, and that's Bookies.com. All right. Bookies.com knows that bettors have many options to choose from when placing a bet. There are also dozens of factors that come into play. Where should I place the bet? How much should I bet on? What sport should I look at? That's why Bookies.com is here. Bookies provides their users with information on every step of the betting process, which maximizes the sign-up process. Bookies provides the best sign-up bonuses with in-depth reviews of online sports books, analysis, and so much more. So you can see all the sign-up bonuses and odds at bookies.com/broads. Click the link down below in the description. If you use the link, it credits the channel and helps my relationship with Bookies. It's the most amazing way to maximize your opportunity to win big online. I'm telling you, it's really fascinating. It's really incredible how you're able to look around a little bit and say, yeah. So I'm telling you, check it out. All right. So with that, what else? Nick postgame. You want to get into Nick Sirianni postgame? Nick's got me a little bit right now. I'm not going to lie. Nick's starting to win me back seriously. Like, I mean, seriously win me back. I always have a little weirdness going on. But as much as Nick could ever truly get from me, if he maximized how much I could be all in, this is it. Listen to this message postgame. And by the way, I also saw some fire on the sidelines that got me ready to run through a wall with the whole challenging the interception thing. How angry, how mad, how pissed. It had some inspiration behind it. If I was sitting there, I think for the first time, Nick would have did something that made the needle move for me. And then you follow that up with this post-game speech. Whew. Nick Sirianni's getting a lot of dubs. Getting a lot of dubs today. I'm telling you. Take a listen.
Guys, that was unbelievable defense. That was unbelievable on offense. Franchise record for Saquon, 255 yards. 300 total. Now, hey, listen to me. Listen. I want to keep it at this. Everybody watched that game. And everyone's calling you and telling you how fucking good you are. We have not done shit. Put your head down and work. It's the work that's got us here. You guys have been playing your ass off, and it's the work that's got us here. All right, let's pray.
I love it. Yo, they're going to be saying you're the best. They're going to be saying you can go attack the Lions. And trust me, I've been saying it. And you can tell that Lions fans are very inexperienced at being at the top by the way that they talk shit. They know we're coming. Do they know we are coming for their throats? Hey, pulse. Listen. They're uncomfortable being at the top. You wait. You wait. I've seen it before. I know what it looks like. This team's got it. This team has it. And for Nick Sirianni to tell the locker room, you're going to hear all the praise in the world. Put your head down. Let's keep rolling. We can't focus on the outside noise. He has that team and that relationship and that bond. What special's all about. And to his credit, that's what he stands for. That's what he believes in. He made that very clear from the beginning. You need to love one another in that room and do everything for every single one of them. And he has that relationship going. And I think you could tell that as much as we joke around and have fun about Saquon and AJ doing the TikTok dances in the end zone after a big play, that tells a story. When I see Jaylen Carter and I get to hear from him, body language, smile, happiness, where he's at, that's him coming out of his shell more. When you come out of your shell more, I believe it's a product of feeling comfortable, feeling like you could be yourself, feeling a little bit open. Seeing Jaylen like that, the environment, the working environment is absolutely special. It's special. And it helps when you have veterans like BG. And that's been sort of the sour spot of the day. Because the full 24 hours, yes, all birds. But unfortunately, there was something that hit the emotional heartstrings pretty roughly. I've been down bad thinking of BG. But when BG talks about the situation, while I do believe he's contemplating what's next, and maybe it is the end of the road, the door isn't completely shut. You would know if someone goes, yo, I mean, I gave it what I had this year. I committed to my family after the season was over. I was going to have this be my last dance. And he would say that now, and it would all be about the mental preparation for that change in his life. That door is still creeping open. He's still trying to process everything, which is the right thing to do. You have to be in the perfect state of mind when a decision made is like that, unless you want to end up just getting back in the game before you even have a cup of coffee in retirement. Because you let the emotions sort of make a really massive decision. That door is still open, and he's still got it. He's your best pass rusher. Brandon Graham is your best pass rusher, which means someone needs to pick up the slack. And watch the way every one of his teammates online was like, dude, we got this for you. This BG rally, we thought the defense was elite already, and it is. The buy-in to go out and do it for BG. Quignon's gross. Quignon's is gross. He's gross. I love this defense. I love this team. Wow. It's just comedy. I knew how heartbroken I was. Now they're rolling off 7 straight. I only had that pain because I care. I only had that pain, and this is how I'm justifying it, and I stand by it because I believe there's serious truth to it. The reason why I was so insanely pissed off and super harsh early in the year is because I knew they had it in them. I knew they had it in them. This was the expectation. Jaylen, no turnovers. It was 5,000 turnovers a game. You are too good, and you came into the league not turning the rock over at all for a couple of years. You put this real strong skill set together of keeping the ball in your team's possession. That needs to get back. That's who you are. That's the standard you set since you took over for Carson Wentz. Nick, I may feel a certain type of way about you, but there are things that you do extremely well. Maximize those. Maximize those. And that's what we're getting. We're getting Nick Sirianni maximizing the culture setting and the approach and the attack and the mindset. This is Nick bringing his strong suits, while Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, they're locking it down their way. How about it? Jaylen Carter, double teamed, getting held, doesn't matter, opens up so many chances for his teammates. And he's handling the double teams even better from a physical standpoint. Remember, last year he had an awesome run. But then it died out. It got quiet quick. And it was a major downfall. He's not only lasting right now and not breaking down. Doesn't look like it's coming anytime soon. And also, he's handling those spots better as well. And I always love if you play in the SEC, you get a taste of NFL football. And while it's the closest thing, it's not even close. Think about the linemen, the offensive linemen. As much as we joke around about other teams always have piss poor linemen, and they do. But the grown man, when you're actually in the trenches at this level, the speed of awful guards would be an all-pro level Hall of Famer in college. So that's the difference in the skill gap. The longevity of a season, the amount of attention you're going to get when Fletcher Cox is no longer here, these are the type of things that Jaylen Carter has to prep for. And it took him some time. And now here we are. Starting to roll into form. And speaking of that philosophy, if you will, which is learning by experience. Something I heard, I believe it was Colin Cowherd, as I was just scrolling through a little bit, and I saw that he reacted to the Sunday night game on his own show he has that isn't on radio. And he was talking about Sirianni, and he had a very similar view that I did about just not really knowing what he brings from a strategy standpoint, but his team wins games with him. And he talked about how someone like that could maybe learn on the job and have a longer leash to do it because his roster is so talented that maybe Nick Sirianni over this tenure and over this time, he can pick up the puzzle pieces as a guy who's hungry about the craft. And now I'm expanding more on my own thoughts. That was the general sense of it all. But, he is hungry. He is willing to learn. He's willing to listen. He's willing to take on sort of a self-reflecting mode, which if you're not even open to doing that and you're super stubborn, then you don't have a chance for that to succeed. But is it possible that Nick is so good with the culture that he could clean up the other areas by being in a room with Vic Fangio for a while, being in the room with Kellen Moore, picking his brain, and then whenever you do have to think about life with new coordinators and all that, well, Nick has consumed enough. Interesting. I'm not ruling that out. And I'm not even thinking about new coordinators either. I always find myself going big picture because it's hard to not think anything other than, oh yeah, this team has what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Saquon had 300 yards. He had 300 yards. Big picture though, this whole Kellen Moore is going to be a new head coach somewhere if the Eagles do good. I think that train has left. I do. Or at least there's way more in front of him. He went through a bunch of head coaching interviews and he could have had a couple of different gigs and he never got it. He may just be suited as a really good coordinator in this league. He's still young. I think he still has time to win people over. And he's got the intrigue, but I just don't know if he's that shiny toy where it's an automatic that he's gone no matter what, especially if what's working is Saquon is just a monster, right? Because that doesn't mean that Kellen Moore has nothing to do with this, but I do believe that if Saquon's winning you games and scoring 21 points himself in a playoff game with 302 yards, it's probably more, oh yeah, Do you see what Saquon can do when Mailata and Landon Dickerson create just a little bit of separation? And oh, by the way, then they're in the second level throwing people 8 feet down. I think they can actually build something longer-ish with Vic, Kellen, Nick, if this goes where I think it can go. So I'm telling you, there's no sugarcoating this puppy. When I tell you I'm all in, I mean it. I mean it. I love this team. 215. Oh my God. Did I just give out? I'd never done that before. I'm kind of freaked out. Before we get to the anytime hotline calls, my friends at Garage Beer are the best in the world. There's nothing better than when Garage Beer touches my lips. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Don't worry about any IPA. It's 0% IPA. It's 100% light beer. It's 1,000% quality. DrinkGarageBeer.com. Check out the information down below. All right, let's take your call, shall we? Let's start with, if you watched the post-game show, I paused this call because it sounded like it was going strictly heavy into BG, and I was reacting to the game a little bit more. And this will be a fine time. I could have just used it then, if I'm being honest. But I just want to make sure I go back and play the call that I said I would. So let's start here.
Yo, Broads, what a win today. What a win. I was watching post game and I saw that Brandon Graham is done for the season with the torn triceps, and I just kind of want to gloat about him a little bit. He was a guy, he got drafted when I was 6 years old, and he became easily one of my favorite players of all time. So if that was his last game as an Eagle, it was just such a pleasure to watch him throughout his career. Him and Brian Dawkins are my two favorite players of all time, and he had a hell of a game today. A sack, he had an awesome tackle for loss. He had another play where he blew up Kyron Williams in the backfield, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Quinyon finished it off. He had a couple QB hits. I mean, he's been such a great piece this year for this team. He had a great game against Washington. And it's just so unfortunate, man. I just wanted to say that about him because he's absolutely one of my favorite players of all time. Doesn't matter what the sport is. One of my favorite players of all time, and I hope he gets better.
That's a big thing to say, man, in this town. And you got to realize, too, and this applies to the Eagles, and it applies to where this team is. There's a lot of us who grew up as a big fan of this team, with Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey being all we know. There's people who watch Brandon Graham, and that's all they know so far in life. And that's been a damn good era. But as we look forward here, and there's still pieces to that era, Lane Johnson being the face of it. Jeff Stoutland, too. I don't want that guy ever to stop coaching, ever. If he ever wants to walk away, you give him $1 billion. If I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I give him part of the stake of the franchise to make sure that man stays here, because whatever he does, whatever secret sauce my man keeps in the cabinet is rocking. It doesn't seem like it's running out of juice anytime soon. Fred Johnson is playing. Fred Johnson, Tyler Steen, they step in, and yes, they skip a beat, but they barely skip beats. Mekhi Becton is saying he's never enjoyed football like this in quite some time. Same with Saquon. The two guys you rob from New York, the two guys you get here. Mekhi Becton was supposed to be a starting tackle. A starting tackle. It's a big deal. Can't sniff anything up there. Stinks. Comes down, and he's just great. There's no other way to put it. My man's great. So the point is, a new era is starting to form in front of our eyes, with the good taste of the old era too. BG being a big part of that, now being hurt. we're watching this play out in front of our eyes. So think about it. We started the show with Saquon Barkley and how we may be watching the best individual Eagle season ever. And make sure you appreciate it. And now, as we're about 25 minutes into the show, it's the same as more of a bigger roster view. Just appreciate it. We're in a big turning spot. And with this organization, with Howie Roseman being at the top, they can find a natural transition while still competing for a Super Bowl. People can't even do it right when they blow it up. People can't even do it right when they bring in a new guy, a new GM, a new head coach, a new staff, a new quarterback. Look at this Giants organization right now. And think about how we've been able to run circles around them for years. Appreciate it. This is greatness right now. This is straight up greatness. And it is very, 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 very sad for not having BG available for this season anymore. It hurts. Let's go back to the phones.
Bro, Dave from Philly. Gotta say, that was just a absolutely crazy game. And, I mean, Saquon's just, I mean, as you like to say, I'm running out of words trying to find the words to describe what this man does. But I think a lot of people have given him a lot of props for, you know, obviously his on-field play, and that's definitely warranted. I'm not here to take away anything from that. But did you see after Kenny Gainwell punched it in that Saquon got out on the field into the end zone to celebrate with him? I mean, that's another type of guy there. You know, that's not just a good football player. That's a great teammate. Love your show, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you taking the time to call in. Yeah, what? What? To be that great of a human combined with the greatness of the player? That guy is everything we needed. Everything we needed from a locker room presence. And think about that. Think about the locker room presence you go out and find right now. When it was mandatory. You don't lose Fletch and Jason Kelsey and just be okay. That's not what happens. That's not the norm. Enter Saquon. How did the Giants fuck it up that badly? You do not let players like Saquon leave your franchise. I don't care. You just don't let it happen. And they botched that whole thing, and Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito and Cutton and this, and man, it's ugly. I'd blow the whole damn thing up if I was up there and in charge. You know, it's so funny. Yes, I tuned in to hear the New York radio today to be a sick-minded man that I am. And they're talking about how, well, if you stick with Dable and Joe Shane, who I think is actually pretty decent, just got a short end of the stick when taking over and was handed Daniel Jones. And then they talk about how, well, if you got to give him time, then he has to draft a quarterback, maybe be a couple more years with them, and we could be doing another 3 years of this underperforming Joe Shane and Dable experience. Like, no, we can't have that. What do we do here? And I'm going, yeah, now flip down to here, 300 yards for Saquon. 300 yards. 300. Potentially winning MVP as a running back. You don't let him out the door. I never thought the value of the running back in today's era would ever hit this peak, okay? So even when Howie Roseman said we look at him as more of a threat as a skill position player, not just a running back, that's why we allocated this much money to his contract. And, you know, you go, I get that. I do. And we all thought he'd be good. It almost makes me wonder, how good is Sanders and how good is DeAndre Swift? How good are they really? Or were they more of a benefit of the O-line? Saquon, you see what you have with the best O-line and his gift and his ability. That's what takes this to the top of 300. But it's Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift just kind of, I'd be lying if I said I gave a damn about what either of them have been doing since their time here. But And you can kind of sleepwalk into those numbers. Saquon's different. He's just different. Don't even know what to say. Don't even know what to say. All right, everybody, I love you. That's what I know what to say. I love you. You guys are the best in the world. We're going to wrap this puppy up. Appreciate it. We'll continue to talk about this great team throughout the Thanksgiving week. So, of course, I hope everybody, and we'll talk before this day on Thanksgiving, of course, but hope everyone's having a good holiday week for whatever that's worth. Peace.